All right, you guys, so this is multi-step equations. Should go pretty quick. Basically, we're just adding on to one-step and two-step equations. So multi-step equations, no real definitions. We just realized that we're going to have more than two steps in these equations, okay? So some key terms that I'm going to use, but we should already know the definitions, are like terms, distributive property, and reciprocal, okay? So example number one, if we look here, I can see that I have to use the distributive property. So I'm just going to write ds because that's what I'm doing. I'm using the distributive property, and I'm going to multiply the 4 times 6x. 4 times 6 is 24, and the x comes along for the ride. And then I have 4 times negative 3, so that's negative 12. Okay, again, I want to make sure that we're keeping everything nice and straight. And then I need to look at my equation here. Well, now it's just a two-step equation. We should be able to solve this pretty easily. I want to get my x by itself, so I'm going to get rid of the first term that's on the same side but not attached to the x. And I get 24x equals, let's see, I get 144. Okay? And then I'm going to divide by 24. So once I divide by 24, I get x equals, 144 divided by 24. Well, I know 12 times 12 is 144, so 24 times 6 should be 24, or should be 144, excuse me. And let's just double check. 6 times 4 is 24, that would be a 2. 6 times 2 is 12, that's 14, 144. I know my answer is right there. But again, I'm going to ask that you check your work, okay? And again, checking the work means plugging it back in. So I would plug it back into my original equation. So I would write 4 times 6 minus 3 equals 132. Plug that in, see if you get a correct answer, okay? Keep the video moving though. We're going to just move on to example 2. So here we have 3 terms, and only 2 of them are like terms. So my first step is I'm going to combine like terms, okay? So if I combine my like terms, I have 12x and I have 10x, I get 22x, and my 14 has nothing to add to, so it just gets dropped down. Now I have 2 terms. What I want to do is I want to get rid of this one because it doesn't have my x. So since we're adding it, we're going to do the opposite, right? And again, make sure we're keeping everything nice and straight. 22x equals, that's going to be 66. Now I have 22 times x, so I'm going to divide to get it by itself. X equals 3. Okay? Again, on your problems, I want you plugging it back into the original. Make sure that this is the right answer. Okay? Example number 3. You can see here that again I have a number outside of parentheses and unlike terms inside, so I'm going to distribute my number there. So I'm going to use the distributive property. And let's see, 3 over 2 over x times x is 3 halves x, and then times a negative 5. So how do we do that? Well, usually what we do is we turn our whole number into a fraction and we multiply the tops. So 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, and 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so I distributed that. Everything else stays the same. Now, when I look at this, I want to do, again, the same thing. I'm trying to get my x by itself, so I'm going to get rid of the plus 2x, or I'm sorry, plus 15 over 2. And this looks like it's going to be a big mess, but let's take care of this. This just becomes a big 0, right? Here we get 3 over 2x equals, I have negative 6 plus 15 over 2. So over on the side, just so that we remember how to do this, I'm going to turn my negative number into a fraction. And if I want to add fractions, I need a common denominator. So I'm going to take this 1 and turn it into a 2 by multiplying this by 2 over 2. And I choose 2 over 2 because 2 over 2 is a 1. Its value is 1, so I'm not changing the value of this number. I'm just changing the look of it. Okay, so 2 times negative 6, well that's, what do we get? We get negative 12 over 2. So negative 12 over 2 plus 15 over 2, well that is 3 over 2. Okay, and now I have a fraction in front of my variable, excuse me. So if I want to solve this in one step, what I need to do is I need to multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so 2 over 3 is the reciprocal of 3 over 2. That's why I'm multiplying by 2 over 3. And if I look, I actually have reciprocals in both cases. This is the reciprocal and these are reciprocals. So when I do that, the numbers cancel each other out. I'm left with 1x, and here, again, because these numbers are reciprocals, we get 1. Okay? So x equals 1. Again, you're going to want to check your work on the notes. I'm going to ask that you check your work. I'm looking to make sure that you're checking your work on these examples. Other than that, this has been multi-step equations.